Hi there and welcome to Tech Life, a channel where I aim to review everything from selfie sticks to laptops to IDEs for coding, video editing, producing thumbnails, essentially anything tech related. If you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing. If you have anything that you think I should review, please let me know in the comments and I'll do my best to review that product. Today's video is going to be a quick beginner's tutorial on how to use Zoom, the video conferencing software. So let's get straight into this. In order to use Zoom, we have to register. In order to register, we have to visit the Zoom website. So if we click on Zoom, it will take us to zoom.us. And we can have a quick look at the plans and pricing available. The basic service is completely free, and with the basic service we get to host up to 100 participants. The maximum length of each meeting, which consists of 2 or more participants, is only 40 minutes, so you're limited. You have a time limit of 40 minutes per meeting. You can restart those meetings after the 40 minutes, but with the free price plan you are limited in terms of how long you can spend per meeting. And also with the basic price plan, you are unlimited in terms of having meetings one-to-one. So if there's only 2 of you in a meeting, there is no time limits. The other price plans go up in price firstly, and also their functionality, and they're outlined on the website here. For now, we'll stick to the free service, and in order to use the free service we do have to register. So we're going to click this button, sign up. It's free, so it is totally free. And in order to register, you do have to type in some personal details, the first being your date of birth. Okay, and it's telling us this data will not be stored, so we'll take their word for it. We'll continue. And here we have different options in order to register with Zoom. You can use an email address, you can sign in with SSO, you can sign in with a Google account, or you can sign in using Facebook. I am going to use an email address. We'd like to help you get the most out of Zoom by sending you resources along the way. You can unsubscribe at any time. Okay, confirm. After confirming, we are informed that we need to click the confirmation link that has been sent to our email. So if we visit the email inbox specified, we can see that Zoom has indeed sent an email, and we need to activate the account. Activate account. Just simply click that. Okay, welcome to Zoom. Hi, your account has successfully been created. Please list your name and create password to continue. So we need to type in some more personal information here. We can go ahead and type our first name, surname, and we can enter a password. make a note of this password somewhere so I don't forget. In fact, I'll retype that just to make sure I've made a note of it correctly. And we have to confirm our typed password. Let me make sure I've done that correctly. So if we read the rest of this, are you signing in on behalf of a primary or secondary K-12 institution? No. By signing up, I agree to the privacy policy and terms of service. I suppose I do, yes. Continue. Don't save. So invite your colleagues to create their own Zoom accounts. Maybe at a later stage. Skip this step. Start test meeting. Excellent. Now it's time for start meeting. So once you've registered, it presents you with this landing page, which allows you to start a meeting now. We won't start a meeting straight away. What we will do is go to my account. And so clicking on my account takes you to your profile, and as with other profiles, you can make different changes. You can add a picture of yourself or a picture of something that you prefer rather than just this icon. You can edit your personal details in terms of your name. You can also edit your personal ID and various other bits of information can be changed. You can change your time zone, the language that you're using, the type of license. Obviously, if you edit this, then it will ask you to upgrade to the paid license types. We for now will just leave this as it is. And in fact, I won't make any changes to this because we've just registered. What we will do is go to the next tab, which is meetings. From this meetings tab, we can see upcoming meetings, and there obviously aren't any at the moment because we've only just registered. We can see previous meetings, and again there won't be any because we are a completely new user. We can visit our personal room, which means that you can have a one-to-one meeting within this room with other users of Zoom. And we have a meeting templates. You do not have any meeting templates. Okay, so that's because we are totally new. So let's go back to clicking on meetings again. So I just wanted to quickly come back to the meetings tab, firstly to show you this functionality of Zoom, which allows you to use Microsoft Outlook's plugin or a Firefox plugin, which then allows you to use the calendar facilities of both those applications in order to schedule your meetings. So that saves a bit of time. If you're in Outlook or if you're in Firefox, you can just use the calendar there to set up any Zoom meetings as opposed to logging into Zoom and then setting up a scheduled meeting. So that's really handy and saves a bit of time. So if we move on quickly to the next part, and that entails actually downloading and installing Zoom onto your laptop or PC. There's two ways to do this. You can either select one of these, which will then automatically download and install Zoom, or you can scroll to the bottom of the page here and go to the downloads and select the downloads option. So Zoom client for meetings, Zoom plugin for Microsoft is available there, Zoom plugin for IBM Notes, and Zoom extension for browsers, Firefox and Chrome. So for now we are going to download Zoom client for meetings. Save the file. And that will download. If I quickly navigate to my downloads folder, I should be able to see. So if you're using Windows PC or Windows laptop, then the downloads by default should be downloaded into the downloads folder. You should see a file in there called zoominstaller.exe. Essentially you need to run that. The best way to do that is right click, run as admin, and just follow the on-screen prompts. So we'll wait a few minutes in order for Zoom to install. Okay, that was quite quick. Once installed, a pop-up will appear on your desktop, and it gives you two options. It gives you the option to join a meeting or to sign in. We are going to sign in because I'm going to show you how to host a meeting, and we use our email address. And also the password that we use to create the account. And we can sign in. Okay, on successful login, we'll be presented with this main page. This allows us to do various things very quickly. The first being to start a new meeting. We can join a new meeting from here. We can schedule a meeting, or we can share our screen. It gives us the time of day, the day, and the date that we're conducting this meeting. So if I click on new meeting, we should be presented with this meetings page, and this prompts us to make a selection in terms of what we're going to use in terms of the audio. So you can use join with the computer audio, or you can test the speaker. What we'll do is just click on the default and join computer audio. So when hosting a meeting, this is the main page that we will be using, and this page has a number of useful controls along the bottom here. So let's just have a quick look at these very quickly. So on the very extreme bottom left here, we have what looks like a microphone, and this icon allows us to toggle between muting ourselves and unmuting ourselves. Muting essentially means that if you are mute, then your participants will not be able to hear what you're saying. So if I mute, then a line will go across the microphone indicating that I am mute and my participants will not be able to hear what is being said by myself. Let's unmute this. The next icon along is video. So this icon allows us to toggle between sharing our video image or not sharing. At the moment I am not sharing a video image, primarily because I've not got a camera attached to my PC, but if I unclick this and I did have a camera attached, then you will be able to see a moving image of myself. The next icon along is the security tab. So if we just quickly click this, and as we can see, this security tab allows us to set up our meeting in terms of being able to secure different aspects of it. So the very top one here, lock meeting. Lock meeting essentially means that once this is clicked, no new participant can join your meeting, regardless of whether that person has a link and password to the current meeting that you're conducting. So it might be a case that you've started a meeting and most of the participants have arrived. There's some stragglers that haven't quite joined, and you don't want the current meeting to be disturbed by people coming and going, so you've locked it. Once that meeting is locked, then any new attempts to attend that meeting will be rejected. The second selection down is enable waiting room. Essentially, a waiting room is a virtual waiting room, so you might allow attendees to log on to the meeting, and they might be early or you might be late, and if you're hosting the meeting, you don't want participants who were invited to log on and then realize that the meeting hasn't quite started and they've got nowhere to go. So enabling a waiting room allows them to wait in a virtual waiting room, and they are automatically joined into the meeting when you start hosting the meeting. So that's a really good feature, and the default for this is enabled. I don't really see any reason why you wouldn't want to leave that enabled. Hide profile pictures essentially is what it says, so you can hide profile pictures. You might not want to share your picture, so you can hide that picture. This section below here allows participants to do various different things. So you can allow your participants to share their screens. The default is not allow them to share. You can allow participants to chat, and we'll come to that on just in a second when we look at the chat facility over here. You can allow the participants to rename themselves. So David Webb might want to rename himself to, I don't know, Jason Bourne. So we could allow him to do that. You can allow or disallow participants to mute and unmute themselves, and that's a really good feature, especially when you have a large number of participants and they all start deciding to talk all at once. There's a facility where you can mute everyone, and then you can set it so they can't unmute themselves. And then the last one down here is start video. So allow participants to start the video and show their video images. This next icon is probably one of the more important ones, because this allows you to invite participants. It allows you to see who is already taking part in your hosted meeting. It allows you to, as I say, mentioned earlier, allows you to mute all the participants in one go. If we just have a quick look at invite first. So clicking invite allows us to copy an invite link, and it allows us to share that link in various different ways. So you can use any of these email methods. And clicking move all essentially does what it says it does. So if there's a long list of participants here, and quite often what happens in meetings is people start talking over themselves, or people start having small conversations in smaller groups. If you wish to mute all of those so it doesn't disturb the actual host of the meeting, then clicking this will mute everyone. And it also allows you to control whether they're allowed to unmute themselves afterwards. So you can mute all of these people and then still allow them to unmute themselves when they need to speak. So we'll leave that for now. Clicking the breadcrumb over here allows you to do various different tasks. So it allows you to ask all to unmute themselves, mute participants upon entry. This is really good because you might be midway through a meeting and people are joining late, and somebody might be speaking or you might be presenting something. People on entering the meeting may not realize that the meeting is ongoing and they might start speaking, or there might be background noise. So if this is set, then you and your meeting participants won't be disturbed when new participants arrive. And that's not set to default, but I would probably select that. Okay, the next one down is allow participants to unmute themselves, which we've already really covered. Allow participants to rename themselves, again we've covered that. This one here, play a sound when someone joins or leaves, can be useful because then people joining late, then you're made aware that people are joining or leaving, so it plays a little chime. Enable waiting room, we've already covered, and lock the meeting, that's already been covered as well. Okay, so the chat facility, chat essentially allows you to use text and communicate with your participants. So and you can select who you're going to send this message to. In order to send the message, you basically hit the return key and it just sends a chat message. We find this quite useful when we are sharing links to different resources. So quite often you can cut and paste maybe a link to a file that's on someone's drive. You can paste that into here, or you can paste a URL into there for people to navigate to a web page, which is quite useful. Share screen. This allows you to share your screen, as it says. It gives you various different options to share whatever screen that you have attached to your PC. At the moment I've got two monitors attached, and it also allows you to share different applications that are running. So if you've got maybe a video player playing, you can share that and your participants can view that video. Or if you have a notepad or Word document that you have open in the background, you can allow your participants to see that. It also allows you to use a whiteboard. And the whiteboard basically allows you to use freehand text to maybe explain an issue or share an idea with your participants. It allows you to have more than one page. And it also has a number of tools that can be used. So you can have a text tool, a drawing tool, you can draw objects, you can clear everything in one go, and you can save this whiteboard. So it's a versatile tool to be able to use and share with your participants. The next icon along is a record. If we click the record icon, and Zoom starts recording both audio and video, and it also records any interactions in terms of chat that we might be conducting, or whiteboard, diagrams and text that we might be typing, and Zoom saves all of that to an MP4 file that we can view later in a video player. We can pause a recording by clicking the pause button, and we can resume recording, and we know the status of what's happening in terms of recording because we have a small prompt at the top left hand corner over here, and we can stop a recording. This is a great feature for when we need to make a record of the meeting that we might have conducted. We can later share that with colleagues who may have not been able to attend, or it's good for archive purposes. You might want to replay the meeting that you might have conducted just in order to refresh your memory. So that's a great feature. And the next icon along is quite a fun feature. It allows us to react to our participants, and it allows our participants to react to what we might be doing and saying. So you can have clap hands, which is an approval. So if somebody likes an idea, somebody might clap or show a thumbs up. They might show a certain amount of affection for you, whether it be love or whether it be joys of tear. And then there might be celebrations of some description if your meeting's going really well. So that's a fun little feature that Zoom has included. And bear in mind, all of this is free. So I mean, you know, you get a really versatile and powerful video conferencing piece of software, and it allows you to do all of these things. A key feature of any meeting is being able to schedule it. So Zoom allows us to do this. So if we go back to the home page and we click the schedule button, a pop-up appears. This allows us to define various different attributes in terms of scheduling a meeting. So you can enter a topic or a description of the meeting. You can set the day and date and time of when the meeting will occur. You can set the duration of the meeting in hours and minutes. If you bear in mind that the basic free version of Zoom only allows meetings of up to 40 minutes if there's 2 or more participants. But if there's only one other participant, including yourself, so it's a one-on-one meeting, then there's no time limit, and so again you will be able to set the duration in hours and minutes for that. You can define whether the meeting is a recurring meeting. You can select the time zone of the meeting. You can also decide how participants will join your meeting, whether you're going to generate an ID or whether you're going to use your personal ID. And then in terms of ID, your participants will require some sort of passcode which gets generated, and you forward that on to them. And once they click the link, then they might have to enter the password or passcode. This page also allows you to define whether there's going to be a waiting room. So as mentioned before, the waiting room is a virtual waiting room, a virtual space where if participants either log in early or you are late in starting a meeting, then as they click on the link that you send them, then they have a period where they are able to wait for the meeting to start, and then when it does start, then they automatically get entered into the meeting. So that is defined here. The default is there is a waiting room. You can uncheck that, and then there won't be a waiting room. You can also decide whether the video will be active for when participants or the host join the meeting. So the defaults are off for both participants and hosts, which is a good idea, I think, because then the participants have to actively share their video by clicking the video icon as shown previously in this video. And then you can also decide what you're going to use in terms of the calendar. So you can use an Outlook calendar, Google Calendar, or a different one. And then you have these advanced options: allow participants to join anytime, mute participants, automatically record meetings. So that is scheduling. Okay, so the last thing I want to look at before we wrap this video up is additional settings that are available in Zoom. In order to get to those, we click on this cog and we get this pop-up, and this allows us to set a whole host of different attributes in relation to general settings, video, audio, sharing screens, chat, etc. I'm not going to do too much of a deep dive into these because this first video is essentially a beginner's tutorial, but we'll have a quick look. So this general tab allows you to define the way your Windows will behave in terms of when you boot up your PC, what Zoom will do, how big the screen will be, and stuff like that. The video tab allows you to set your video settings, so in terms of what camera you're going to use, whether you're going to hide non-video participants and turn off my video when joining meetings. So video related stuff in obviously the video tabs, and again with audio it's going to be audio related stuff, so you can test your speakers, you can test your mic, you can set the sound level. Share screen again is in relation to screen sharing, so you can define the size of the screen, whether it's going to be full screen mode or various other settings. Again with chat you can define things like show audio message button, include link preview, change my status after a certain number of minutes, blocked users, you can manage your blocked users. Background and filters, this allows you to put a background on your Zoom window so participants have something interesting to look at. The default is set to none, but you can have various different backgrounds. In recordings you can define where the recording is going to go in terms of where the path is. You can record your audio separately, so various different recording settings there. Profile again is, this allows you to edit your profile, make changes to the picture, what email you're using, etc. And then you have this statistics tab, which defines things like your CPU, how much memory is being used, how much is available, the bandwidth, etc. Keyboard and shortcuts allows you to define different shortcuts on your keyboard if you prefer using your keyboard as opposed to your mouse, so you can define those here. Then you spend less time having your hands off the keyboard. Accessibility. So this defines how big the fonts are. You can define, the size of the font if maybe you have an issue with being seeing smaller fonts, or if your participants have an issue with seeing smaller fonts, you can make them larger. So there's a whole host of settings that you can set. Finally, the very last thing I want to show you is ending a meeting. So if you're in a meeting, you can end the meeting by clicking this button right at the bottom here on the right hand side. And when you do, you get presented with two options: end meeting for all and leave the meeting. So if you're hosting a meeting, you can actually leave the meeting, and this will still allow participants to continue in the meeting, but you will have left. If you select the top one, end meeting for all, that will basically discontinue the meeting for everyone. Everyone will be kicked off the meeting and they won't be able to communicate with each other. Okay, that's it for now for this video. I hope you've enjoyed watching it. If you have, please hit the like button, consider subscribing, leave a comment. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you very much.